Hello and welcome to another edition of Focus on Morris County. I'm Joe Garifo, Public Information Director for the Morris County Government. Focus on Morris County is a program that's designed to keep us up to date on the actions that are being taken by the Morris County Board of Freeholders. The show is also intended to make us all more aware of the many facets of Morris County government. For example, on this segment of the program, we are going to learn about MAPS. Now, MAPS is a transportation program for certain segments of the population here in Morris County. And here to tell us about MAPS are my guests. First, to my left, Hope Heasel. Hope is the Director of Special Transportation within the Morris County Division on Aging, Disabilities, and Veterans. And that division is within the Morris County Department of Human Services, and that's why our other guest, Frank Pinto, is with us today. Frank is the Director of the Department of Human Services. Folks, welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us. Frank, I want to start with you. We're talking about MAPS. I assume that we're not talking about the maps that you read, but I figure that MAPS is an acronym. What does it stand for?
Yes, it's the Morris Area Paratransit System. It's formed in 1987. We believe April was the first ride, so we're going to be hitting our 25th anniversary this April.
What exactly is MAPS? Explain what it is and who the patrons are.
It's a special transportation service designed for seniors over the age of 60, individuals with disabilities, as well as people that are in the rural parts of the county. We can provide rides for essentially a bus service for the rural areas.
When you say rides, what kinds of trips are eligible riders taking?
The primary focus and the goal, the areas that we want to focus on are employment, medical appointments, and educational rides for those individuals that qualify. We're also giving rides to the county's nutrition centers and adult daycare centers as needed and as available. There is high demand for the program that Hope will talk about in a little while. The off-peak hours is when we really go to the adult daycare centers and the nutrition sites.
Mm-hmm. Hope, let me turn to you now. In terms of areas serviced by the MAPS program, I understand that Morris County is divided into 3 different regions. Give us the regions, if you will, and while you're doing that, telephone number to call for people who might want to make a reservation on MAPS.
Okay. The northern region is covered by the Jefferson Township Dial-A-Ride. That telephone number is 973-208-6123. The northeastern region, which covers the areas of Butler, Kinnelon, Lincoln Park, Pequannock, and Riverside, is provided by the Five-Town Dial-A-Ride, and that number is 973-835-8885. And then the rest of the county is covered by the MAPS program, and that number is 888-282-6277.
Okay, and we should say that it's Riverdale, not Riverside, which is
yes,
fine.
Riverdale.
I'm sure the folks knew it was Riverdale. Now, in asking that question, I said, if people wanted to call to make a reservation, so obviously you do need to make a reservation.
Correct.
For the MAPS program. How far in advance would you suggest folks give you a call?
We look for at least 48 hours notice. If it's an important appointment that you really want to make sure that you have a reservation for, then at least a week's notice is really preferred. But we can do them up to 48 hours notice.
Okay. And I've been saying give people a call, give the MAPS program a call, but recently the MAPS program introduced reservations by email. Frank, tell us about that. What led up to that, and why was that?
Well, just to provide better service and better opportunities. Some people are, seniors and disabled are very active on the internet, so let's give them the opportunity to make an email reservation. They can do so by emailing maps@co.morris.nj.us. That information is also posted on our departmental website, morrishumanservices.org.
Hope, back to you now. If a town has its own transportation system, should an individual check with his or her town first before calling MAPS?
Absolutely. If it's a quick trip across town, then it's a lot easier for them to do it, and that would free us up to do the longer trips, maybe across county, that may take up more time. So that way we work better with the towns and provide more transportation.
Hope, when does the MAPS program operate?
We operate during normal business hours, Monday through Friday. We start at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we will go till 6 o'clock at night. But what we usually have happen is from 6 until about 8:30 in the morning, our buses are all filled with employment runs. So we are at max at this point. And then starting around 8:30 till about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we do more of the curb-to-curb on-demand service, which would be medical appointments, maybe going to school, and we do some employment rides there also. And then we finish up the end of the day with employment rides again.
Now, one segment of the population that is eligible to use maps are senior citizens.
Correct.
Give us an idea as to the typical senior who might be using maps and where he or she might be going.
Senior citizens usually have used maps for about 3 years. They go once or twice a month, and they usually use us for medical appointments.
What about the person with disabilities? Where would that individual typically be heading on a MAPS vehicle?
A lot of our numbers show that people with disabilities, they tend to ride 3 or more times a week, and they use us more for employment, and they're on the program for a lot longer, maybe 10 years or more.
You mentioned numbers. Talk about the numbers and the ridership of MAPS. What are the numbers? What do they look like? Have they gone up, gone down in recent years?
Since 2006, we've seen an increase of about 19%. In 2006, we provided about 59,000 rides, whereas in 2011, we topped over 70,000 rides.
Wow. Now, to what would you attribute that dramatic increase?
In 2007, we ended up going out to bid for a new computerized software program called Route Match, and that allows us to optimize the best runs or the best routes. It puts everything in, and then gives us back what they think to be the best route possible, and it cuts down a lot of downtime.
Yeah, you mentioned a couple of seconds ago going from one end of the county to the other on a MAPS vehicle. Do you stay within Morris County? Do you ever take trips outside of Morris County? And if so, I mean, I'm sure you don't go down to like Vineland or something, but
right.
What are the routes normally?
We normally are within the county, but we can go up to about 5 miles outside of the county. So if someone lives in the northeastern part of the county, or the eastern part, you may go over into a different county for, say, summer. Hospital services outside the county, because that's closer than coming all the way back to Morristown Memorial. Okay.
Talk about the vehicles. What kinds of vehicles does MAPS use?
We have an assortment of vehicles. We have buses that are wheelchair or assisted device equipped. We have minivans. We have ones that have ramps, so we can also use those for people who use assisted devices. We have sedans, we have station wagons, we have an assortment that we can provide, whatever is needed.
Yeah, how many vehicles and how many drivers does MAPS have?
We have about 40 vehicles, and right now we have 27 drivers that are using those vehicles.
Now, do the drivers undergo any kind of special training? Do they have to be certified or anything before they are allowed to drive a MAPS vehicle?
Yes, we all of our drivers have CDL, commercial driver's license, and we also do trainings 4 times a year. They attend the county defensive driving program. We have other internal trainings like bloodborne pathogens and how to deal with those kind of issues. And then we will also send them out for passenger safety training also down in Somerset County and other nearby areas.
Okay. And for our viewers who might be interested in taking a MAPS ride for a specific purpose, what is the charge? What do you charge the riders?
We primarily take donations, so there is no charge. We have started a pilot program in which, for employment purposes, we will ask for tax records, and there may be a slight cost share applied to that. But for the most part, it's a free service, and we accept donations.
Frank, I assume that with that kind of a nominal fee or no fee, MAPS receives funding from other sources. What would they be?
Yeah, there's a variety of sources. The total MAPS budget is roughly about $2 million per year. Of that, about 30% is county tax dollars. The rest, we're using that county dollars to leverage a match for federal and state funding. But the primary other source is the casino revenue funding, the Atlantic City dollars and the lottery dollars. That then gets transmitted to us. The trend we've seen, though, Joe, is that those dollars have been shrinking. So we are really looking for other sources, and the donations certainly help offset the county tax dollars that are needed.
Now, Frank, earlier you mentioned the email reservation system implemented for more efficiency, for the convenience of MAPS riders. What are some other efficiencies that MAPS has implemented in recent years?
Right.
Again, to enhance efficiency.
Yeah, the nutrition program, which is the senior congregate meals and Meals on Wheels program, Route Match software is being utilized for that program. It's all within the same Department of Human Services. So that we've put in all the addresses for all of the residences that are getting, the seniors that are homebound, that are getting meals. And we've basically optimized the routes for the deliveries of those services. So we've really, it's a nice match between Hope's program and Teresa Davis and Ophelia Cruz's programs that are doing the nutrition. And it's helped that program as well to be more efficient.
Yeah, and I imagine that the in terms of efficiency, the homebound seniors who get the meals a little bit warmer than they normally would if they come to them quicker.
Yes, absolutely. And we have the hotshot trucks, which help deliver them warm too. Related to that, we have a nutrition bid that went out and into effect in 2012. Sodexo Services, that's doing our food service at the Morrisview Healthcare Center, is also providing all of the meals for the nutrition program now. So we're getting a real nice cohesive food delivery and transportation system within our department, which it's really now starting to pay off, and we should see some savings in terms of tax dollars.
Hope, I'm going to ask you to once again give us the regions and telephone numbers to call if somebody wanted to take advantage of the MAPS program.
The northern region, which is covered by the Jefferson Township Dial Ride, the number is 973-208-6123. There's the northeast region, covered by the Five-Town Dial Ride, which covers Butler, Kinnelon, Lincoln Park, Pequannock, and Riverdale. That number is 973-835-8885. And then the remainder of the county is covered by MAPS, and the telephone number there is 888-282-6277.
And don't forget the reservation by email address that you can use for MAPS. That's maps@co.morris.nj.us. Hope and Frank, thank you both very much for being with us today.
Thanks, Jim.
Now, if you have a question about county government that you would like to have answered, you can call the Morris County Freeholders office at 973-285-6010. You may also visit the county government's website. That's morriscountynj.gov. Once you're there, please sign up for the electronic newsletter, Morris County Connections, to keep you up to date on county government news. Also, check us out on all the other social media that Morris County uses, including Facebook, Twitter, Flickr, YouTube, and Scribd. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm John Pecoraro, surrogate of Morris County. If a loved one passes away and you need to transfer property to their heirs, you must come to the surrogate's court. This is true even if the deceased did not have a will. This process is known as probate. Now, probate in New Jersey is not overly complicated, and my staff is available to assist you. If you have any questions, please call my office at 973-285-6500 or visit our website at morrissurrogate.com.
Welcome back to Focus on Morris County. I'm Joe Garifo, and I'm joined on this segment of the program by Morris County Freeholder Gene Feyl. Freeholder Feyl joined the Freeholder Board in January 2007. He is a former two-term Freeholder Director and also a former mayor of Denville. Freeholder Feyl, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Joe. Good to be here.
We're going to be discussing some county government issues, but first I want to ask Freeholder Feyl to talk a little bit about the New Jersey Transportation Planning Authority, because this year he is the chairman of the executive committee of that agency. Gene, give us a little overview of the NJTPA.
Sure. The NJTPA is an MPO, which is a Metropolitan Planning Organization, which is required by federal legislation for review, planning, and distribution of all federal transportation dollars, which this year amounts to about $1.7 billion that we will have direct authority to distribute and allocate. It's really a collaboration of 13 New Jersey counties, North Jersey counties, Port Authority, New Jersey Transit, DOT, and also seats on the board for Jersey City and Newark.
Morris County has benefited from the NJTPA actions in a number of ways of late, including the NJTPA's approval of about $6 million for a project that rehabilitated one of the three rail lines that the county owns, the Chester branch as it's known. What can you tell us about that project?
Well, this was done with ERA money, the stimulus money coming out of Washington. And Morris County owns 3 railroads, which is very unusual in the first place.
And they're all freight lines.
They're all freight lines, no passenger. This was a rail that ran into Roxbury and terminated in Roxbury, running from Mount Arlington, Wharton area. And we really didn't have the money to rehabilitate, although we saw it as a great economic driver if we could rehabilitate it. So in conjunction with Holland Manufacturing, who uses that line regularly for their merchandise and their manufacturing products, they offered to donate the line to the county if we rehabilitated it. So we used almost $6 million in ERA money to rehabilitate it, that now is open to, opens that area by rail to 2 lumber yards and the old Westinghouse facility in Randolph. And as that develops, that'll also have access to the rail siding as well. So we see it as a great economic driver for that region, plus keeping traffic off the road.
Yeah, because rail transportation in terms of goods is important to the economy of Morris County.
Also, Toys R Us has a siding off of the High Bridge branch, and the High Bridge branch serves that whole industrial area, Barclay Road, Chester, and 206, and a major facility for Toys R Us, which is well over 1 million square feet.
Yeah. Now, what are some of the other projects that the NJTPA has approved for Morris County over the last couple of years?
Well, within the routine process of approval, it is a process. It's the collaboration of local desire and local preferences with design and feasibility, right-of-way acquisition, and ultimately project engineering and construction. Some of them that have been important or will be important in the coming years are the reconstruction of Sussex Turnpike to ease flow on that road, which is a major artery. The reconstruction of Commerce Boulevard in Roxbury. We're looking at easing the intersection at Columbia Turnpike, Park Avenue, and Route 24 East, which is a very difficult intersection to maneuver, particularly now with the expansion of the JETS and BASF and the Honeywell project. Mm-hmm. We're looking at access to County College from at least a feasibility standpoint to provide better access from Center Grove Road, better access from Dover Chester Road, and perhaps a new entrance from Route 10 East. So there are a lot of projects always in the in process, and there's never enough money.
Now, one of your other responsibilities as a freeholder, each freeholder, by the way, has a committee assignment, let's say, and yours happens to be Public Works. The Public Works Department of Morris County responsible for 300 miles of county road. They are responsible for the bridges. They're responsible for building construction and reconstruction. It had its hands full last year, especially with Hurricane Irene that washed away 2 county bridges. How was the Public Works Department able to handle those situations?
I think they handled all the storm situations, both the snowstorm and the hurricane, admirably. One of the good things is that we have a number of different departments who have unique capabilities, from the Mosquito Commission, which has very long-reach backhoes, to our Bridges and Roads Division that has other unique equipment, our Shade Tree Division, which can cut trees, and they work together to achieve the final goal of clearing the roads and clearing the trees for residents. The snowstorm was particularly unique in that we lost bridges through the flooding, and Irene we lost bridges through the flooding. One was on Kinnelon Road in Kinnelon, and we were able to fast track that by prioritizing some other bridges that were on our longer term process, pushing them behind and building the culverts to open Kinnelon Road. Another one of the same problems of a bridge washing out was on Emmons Road in Roxbury. They were able to be put back into service within a month or two, which is generally unheard of because the engineering alone can take 6 to 8 months.
The Department of Public Works also converted some space in 30 Schuyler Place, which is in Morristown, for use as classrooms by the County College of Morris. How did that come about?
Well, the freeholders have been looking at trying to condense space, better utilize our space, not have any rental space. And in speaking with County College, we recognized that they were using rental space in the headquarters plaza building and renting not only floor space for classrooms, but also renting parking. We had an underutilized building on Schuyler Place, that we were able to move some of the facilities there that weren't necessarily public sensitive, that people didn't need to access easily, and move them up to the Morrisview building and other buildings that we owned in the county, and open classrooms in Schuyler Place as an annex for County College in Morristown, allowing them to move out of the headquarters plaza building and save the rent and put that toward better educational uses.
Also, in terms of construction, the county, as we speak, is undergoing a major construction project with the expansion of the Public Safety Training Academy up on West Hanover Avenue. And one of the keys to that is the enhancement of the county's emergency dispatch system, which would enable towns to have the county do their emergency dispatch. What benefit would that be to towns that decide, yes, we would like the county to do this for us?
Well, I think, first of all, that building is really geared towards several new uses. One is the relocation of our criminal investigation and crime lab to a new facility that will better facilitate retention of evidence and examination of evidence by local police departments. It also expands our emergency management area, which we certainly saw as a great need during these last storms. But one of the primary functions is to consolidate communication capability from all 39 municipalities under one roof and save local government money. The more we look at shared services, the more we're finding that, yes, there is money to be saved in sharing, but there is also more money to be saved in consolidation. So that we are right now performing this function for, I think, about 25 towns, their emergency dispatch, or all their dispatch, fire, police, and as well as 911. And when this is finished, we'll be able to take on all 39 towns and save all local governments the cost of local dispatch.
And while we're on the subject of money and dollars, I believe 2012 is the fifth year in a row that the freeholders have decided to reduce the tax that is used to fund the county's open space trust fund. 2011, it was 1.5 cents per $100 of property value. In 2012, it's going to be 1.25 cents. Why have the freeholders decided that the tax again should be reduced?
Well, we've just agreed that we would reduce it another quarter of a cent, and that's primarily because the demand for open space has diminished. The willingness in a down market for people to sell their property seems somewhat diminished, and we have a reasonable balance of funds not expended in previous years, particularly in the farmland preservation area. The freeholders balance that allocation on a regular basis, and we'll be rebalancing again this year to take some money from some fund and put it in some others. And we really don't feel that we will. We need the amount of accrual that we are currently accruing, and should turn that back to the taxpayers. But that's changeable. In a year, we can increase the rate up to 5%, or we can decrease it further. So I don't think people have to worry about having enough money for open space. But I think it keeps the spirit of competitiveness alive within the municipalities and the other government entities that are seeking funding.
Now, just to digress for a second and get away from county government issues, but I mentioned at the beginning of the program that Freeholder Feyl is a former mayor of Denville, also a former member of the Township Council in Denville, a former Board of Education member. What was it that first drew you to public service?
Well, I was in business in Denville in the 70s, and I had heard that a seat on the Board of Education was open. And I also had read that no one applied. And I said, isn't that sad that no one wants to run for Board of Education? So I decided to run. And the minute I decided I'd run, 5 other people felt they would do a better job. But I prevailed, and there was one. And I served on the Board of Ed for 9 years. And it was just kind of a natural progression. Served on the planning board and the council, and then elected mayor for 8 years. So just kind of a natural progression, and that the need was there, and I thought I could add something to the community.
Now, what is it that has kept your interest in public service over these years?
Oh, I think the more things change, the more they stay the same. The funding issues, and you look back on school funding, it goes back to the time our towns were formed. Some issues just never seem to go away, and we just constantly look at new ways to solve those problems because they're created by different issues. So I think there's always lots of new opportunity, be it open space funding, be it funding for our nursing homes and for other functions that the county provides, and how much the county should do versus what a local entity should do.
And one of the things that the freeholder boards for the past almost 40 years have been able to do is maintain the county's AAA bond rating. How has the county been able to do that over the years?
Well, I'd like to take full responsibility for that as a freeholder. I have to really give credit to the staff, our treasurer, our administrator, all the people who work in the Morris County offices are extraordinarily prudent financial managers and have a great understanding of their fiduciary responsibility. And that's one of the things that Standard & Poor's and Moody's is really looking for consistency in the freeholder board so the policies aren't changed. And as you know, the market does not like surprises or doesn't like anything that shocks it. So I think our stability, our management philosophy, our total staff and package is what makes that AAA bond rating both so rare and so important to Morris County.
Freeholder Gene Feyl, I want to thank you very much for being with us today and talking about some county government issues with us. Now, if you have a question about county government that maybe we didn't get a chance to get to during this segment of the program, you can call the Morris County Freeholders Office at 973-285-6010. You may also visit the county government's website at morriscountynj.gov. When you're there, why don't you sign up for Morris County's electronic newsletter, Morris County Connections, and also please take advantage of the many social media that the Morris County government offers to you. I'm Joe Garifo. Thank you very much for being with us. Tune in again next week at this time, won't you, for another edition of Focus on Morris County.